Well, the new year will ring in some new laws for employers right here in California.
Right. We have San Diego State University business ethics lecturer, Dr. Wendy Patrick, joining us. And first, one of the laws is that employers with 5 or more employees can no longer inquire about a job applicant's criminal history.
Right. So they can inquire about it only after they have done an offer of conditional employment. And so one of the things that this will change is basically you cannot include these questions on any kind of an application for employment. You can't ask about conviction history. You can't find any other ways of getting this information until and unless you extend a conditional offer of employment. You also can't distribute or disseminate this information. Once you as the employer have determined that you're going to make a conditional offer of employment and you do so and you get the criminal history, then the analysis gets a little more complicated. You basically can't deny an applicant a position just because of the conviction history until you perform an individualized assessment. What it does, Ted and LaDona, is ensures a measure of due process in looking through job applications and going through job applications to make sure that incarceration can be followed by rehabilitation and somebody is not just immediately disqualified because you've got this disqualifying conviction.
Okay, so this is really getting tricky because then if it does come up later in the process, can they come up with another reason why they're not hiring you?
Because they've already given an offer.
Yeah, Ted, and that is part of the protections that are given is there's a requirement that there's more documentation. And I use the term disqualifying conviction. I'll just give you an example. You know, we talk about crimes of moral turpitude, theft, dishonesty type crimes. If you as an employer were to extend an offer of employment and then find out something like this, you've got to go through an analysis tying what you found conviction-wise to the kind of job the applicant is going to be doing. And you can deny application, but you've got to state why. You don't have to go into the grueling kind of detail that, you know, conference table talk around the company as to why you aren't going to extend the offer, or I should say why you're going to rescind the offer. But there's just more transparency that's required under this new law than there was previously, which will at least afford more of an opportunity for somebody applying for a job to explain. You know, it's kind of like the old traffic ticket, guilty with an explanation.
Yeah. So in other words,
explain surrounding circumstances to perhaps the employer's satisfaction.
Okay, so if you have a conviction of theft in your past and you're trying out for a bank teller position, that might be a disqualifier.
Is there a possibility?
Or a DUI and you want to be an Uber driver.
Yes,
I mean, you
okay.
can think of all sorts of relevant circumstances where an employer would want to look at that.
Okay.
Now, does this, however, open the employer up to potential lawsuits from people who are unhappy about having a conditional offer and then having that offer rescinded?
It sure does, but employers are always open to potential lawsuits if there's an allegation that an employer or an applicant has been discriminated against due to whether it's a member or represented, you know, a protected class, or whether it's, you know, they're being discriminated because of their criminal history. So it always leaves open that opportunity. But if anything, this law takes a step towards ensuring greater opportunities for people who have those convictions. But, you know, Ted and LaDona, we live in a society where there will always be lawsuits. Perhaps there will be less of them when you really need to have this kind of transparency. It might protect both applicants and some of the employers.
All right, now let's talk about whether we're expecting a little bundle of joy and how much time off we can get now.
Right. Well, there's a baby bonding period that is being recognized as well, which will allow you to keep your job when you come back. You know, we don't want ever to be in a scenario where you've got to make that choice between your family and your livelihood. It's like choosing sometimes between air and water. You can't put somebody in a position where there's no way that they're going to actually be able to balance both. This law is one step in that direction. You do need time off, so goes the argument, and all parents know this, to bond with your kids. And you don't want to do that at the expense of worrying that your employer is going to give your job away to somebody that doesn't have kids or is never going to have kids. So although it is unpaid leave in most cases, it is something that gives employees the security of being able to be at home bonding with their newborn, knowing that that job and that desk is going to be ready for them when they're ready to come back.
All right, and another one really quickly, they can't ask about your prior salary when you're in a job interview?
LaDona, this is in terms of the pursuit of gender equality, leveling the playing field. You can't ask what somebody's used to making, and because then, of course, the temptation is, well, offering a job commensurate with what they made the last place. Not allowed to do that. However, it's an interesting caveat that you are allowed to discuss what the employee would like to make or what they think they should make. It's an incredible opportunity that wasn't there before, where the employer's at a bit of a disadvantage in what they can and can't ask, but the employee is, and some might say, is encouraged to explore salary ranges in order to arrive at something that is fair, and it doesn't rely either on gender or on what you were, quote, worth at your last job.
All right, Dr. Patrick, thank you so much.
Always a pleasure. Happy New Year to you and your listeners.
You too. Dr. Wendy Patrick, San Diego State University Business Ethics